Yes.
Is that what they find bodies with?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey folks, in episode 2 of our survey day, we are trying to trace where some of the utilities are. So we've got more kit to look at. And Duncan's brought a toy that was a very expensive toy, I'm sure, that's going to help just map out where one of the main kind of distribution lines goes underground from a pole and disappears under the yard, because at the moment it's not on any maps. Although the searches and stuff showed up a certain amount of stuff, Duncan's going to see if he can pick up where it might be coming across our land, because it comes to that last pole and almost disappears. That said, it doesn't appear anything's coming down the pole, so it's a little bit of an unknown because it's just going nowhere. Is that picking anything up? No. Oh, it is.
So that's saying it's now 3.5 meters deep. That's 2 meters.
How precise is that as far as the location?
Location-wise, it should be.
So it's kind of below that.
Pretty, bang on top of it. I'd say it would be better if it was clamped on the wire. Yeah. But that's still.
You know roughly where it is. Yeah.
I can mark this on the ground if you want. I'll tell you what, I will mark it. I'll grab some paint, because then I can come through with the GPS and pick it up, and then if we need to do like topo or something like that, and I could say, okay, it's 5 meters off, or a meter or whatever off that. Then we follow these arrows, so obviously it's telling us we want to go that way.
Oh, so it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, and then it tells you the depth on there as well.
And the depth is only because you've got the bag the other end? Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it knows...
What is it, radio or something? What's it putting down?
Yeah, radio signal into these. So we're working at 32.8 kilohertz signal.
So would that pick up a domestic voltage as well? 240, like just a normal?
Yeah, 240. It's changing the wavelength of the signal that it's putting into it. So let's say a big cast steel pipe could probably take a bigger wavelength because it's a bigger diameter pipe.
Okay.
And because it's a bigger wavelength, it will travel further along. But it can have a tendency to jump onto other surfaces. So where you've got a trench with a few different in, it can jump surfaces. Yeah. So you flick and change sometimes between the signal to get the best distance and keeping it in that. What we would tend to do if we were doing a full utility on this would get the reports like that plan that you have from Western Power saying it goes somewhere in here. Then we'd go round, locate what we can put a signal into, because we can only put a signal into metal objects, so new plastic pipe, gas pipe we can't. So we would locate everything that we can find a signal in, and then we would go over with the ground penetrating radar, verify what we found with this is actually there, and then we'd see any other traces. They're called hyperbola that show in the screen on the ground penetrating radar. That would be any plastic pipes.
So does the ground penetrating radar give you a visual?
Yes.
Is that what they find bodies with?
Yeah.
Okay.
So time team.
Don't bring that here. You find
time
like
team
10
stuff.
cows.
You can. You're not going to see like a skeleton. What we're looking at is it almost looks a bit like a barcode type thing.
Okay,
it's sort of. It's once you know what you're looking at, you can see it. But it's
a bit like an ultrasound when you look at it and you're like,
yes,
I can't see anything. And
exactly.
They're like,
there's a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when it hits a pipe, you get what's called a hyperbola. So it sort of is an arch like that.
Yeah.
And then from that, the software can do some sort of calculations to work out approximate diameter, but it will definitely give you depth. So yeah, definitely running along this way. I think its depth is changing a little bit, but you're looking.
What's that now?
The lowest I've seen is, or shallowest I've seen, well, that's probably the shallowest, 1.2.
Okay.
But you're in around that sort of 1.5 to 2, 2 and a bit sort of mark of depth on it.
Yeah, I think this, now we're off the concrete, this is where I wanted to know roughly where it is and what depth, because if we're, like, these walls have got to come down on your right, so I don't want to be messing around too much. If
know roughly where they are.
Yeah.
It's enough for the GPS.
Oh, we are changing direction.
Yeah.
It's gone under the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally that's one of the first things to come down that wall. So
I'm just going to hop round and just check.
So you can see up here, this is the overhead line that comes along, and then it kind of stops there, it disappears. You'd expect to see it come down the side of the pole. It definitely goes to that pole then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Any look?
I can find it here, so it does look like when you start marking out the
does that only pick it up if it's got power in it?
Not now, because I'm putting the signal in it, but yes, if I was using the passive mode where I'm picking up the magnetic field, yes, that'll only if power's flowing.
So can you tell if it's live now? I'm just thinking if it's an old cable and they've taken off what used to go up here.
Yeah, I do think it is live.
I mean, someone who knows that side of things would just be able to tell if they're going anywhere. And it, like, to me, they just look like they're hooked up.
Again, some of the maps do show old cable in this location. It's also nice to know that plan that looked a bit sketchy, even when I looked at it, I was like,
it's a bit vague.
A bit basic and vague.
Yeah.
But actually,
so it's just whether it's actually connected onto those overhead.
Yeah. Well, it definitely runs up to it. There's a lot of sort of push in this country, and we do it a lot compared to even some countries in Europe, of actually locating buried utilities before sticking a digger in the ground. But there still isn't a huge amount, and doing that to the PAS 128 standard.
Yeah.
But there's still not a huge amount of pushing for PAS 256 where you put GPS coordinates on it when it's being installed.
Yeah.
Because again, I think some of it is the contractors that have been contracted by utility companies. They're only really contracted to replace the pipe, put it in, fill it in, go, and having the time for either them or to get someone in like us to just quickly run over it with the GPS.
Yeah.
It's not perhaps necessarily in their favour.
No. Okay.
But ultimately would make everything.
Yeah. I think I mean, all the electricians and stuff that we've been talking to in data, just makes sense to put one conduit in, and then like we can just run stuff in the future.
Yeah, exactly. If you know, and especially if you're wanting to put more in the future to pull it through. Exactly. But I've heard stories of when I was doing my training. The guy, the trainer at the Survey Association that did my training, he was saying about he worked in Swaziland for a lot of time, and they were putting either a new road in or widening the road, something to do with an existing road that was in there. And they contacted, I think it was the electricity board, and said, right, where are your utilities? And they went, right, it's on that side of the road. So they went, that's fine, we're working on this side of the road. Digger, straight through it. And their records were that wrong. It had the wrong side of the road.
That far off.
So yeah, it's...
I think we've done better than that today then.
Yeah.
The guys have still got a little bit to do, I think. They're scanning the inside of the barn now, which obviously is important. That's what we need the info on. But so I was just having another look at the overhead pylon? Yeah, the pylons. And I've realised that this one definitely can't be live at the end, and that's why there's nothing coming down. Over there, 2 poles across, you can see where the not daisy chained, but you know, they're linking. You can see it's kind of coming off the overhead wire onto the next one, or onto another one where it's teeing off. So these two are the ones we want to get rid of. In theory, right now they're live to that point, but they're not going anywhere after that. So hopefully Western Power will be able to remove these two. It's just the tension of everything on this pole over here. They'll probably have to put in 2 of those big steel cables like are over here, but that's not a big problem because it's up on the paddock. I'd rather that than have them down here. So it might be that we don't have to run stuff underground, because we were thinking it's going to cost 10-20 grand at least to get all that changed around, which is, that's a kitchen. Duncan wasn't actually here to do that, but he brought the gear anyway, so we've tracked it to where it is, and it looks like it's live underground, that leg, but we don't need it. It's not supplying our farm. If anything, we can inquire with Western Power, and that might be able to be disconnected at the manhole cover down in the main road. So yeah, interesting revelation. Hopefully that will give you a bit of an insight into scanning utilities. We might need a little bit more info when we come to map out drainage and stuff here. Some of it might be on old maps, but the likelihood is, being a farm, that it will just be put in a more sort of rough way, let's say, over the years, and I doubt it's on paperwork anywhere. So it's only drainage pipes from the various yards. Most of it we will be relaying, but it's good to know what's there already. So that ground penetrating radar might come in handy. Might be on a future visit, we'll see. If you haven't checked out the previous video, which was the full survey video showing how we got all of the buildings, outside, inside, all scanned, then I'll put a link to that one at the end of this one. If you want to find out more about Neon, then I will put their link down in the description as well. And then hopefully it won't be too long before we can share the results of the scanning and the model and the 3D and the floor plans and everything that is generated from that. Anyway, thanks to Duncan and Will, and we'll leave this video here. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.